What happens when the world's loudest teenager suddenly goes silent, only to re-emerge with a sound that defies every expectation of the modern music industry? In 2018, Courtney Hadwin was the shy schoolgirl from Hesleden who transformed into a Janis Joplin-esque whirlwind on a global stage, leaving judges speechless and a golden buzzer in her wake. However, as we move through 2026, the narrative surrounding this vocal powerhouse has shifted from novelty act to serious contender. Our investigation into her recent trajectory reveals a transformation that is as much about physical vocal evolution as it is about psychological resilience. The high-pitched, frantic energy that defined her early teens has been replaced by a resonant, baritone-adjacent soulfulness that has left longtime followers in a state of total disbelief. This isn't just a natural aging process. It is a calculated mastery of her instrument. Observers at her recent London showcases have noted that the screams of her youth have matured into a controlled, velvety grit. This change wasn't just a surprise. It was a necessity for her survival in an industry that often discards child stars the moment their gimmick fades. By leaning into a deeper, more mature register, Hadwin has effectively slayed the ghost of her younger self to make room for the artist she has become. The shock factor in 2026 isn't just that she can still sing. It's that she sounds like a woman who has lived 100 lifetimes in just 21 years. The transition from a viral sensation to a respected vocalist is a path paved with skepticism. Yet Hadwin's new sonic identity seems specifically designed to silence the doubters once and for all. Behind the glittering lights of reality television, a quiet battle for creative soul was being fought, and the terms of the surrender might surprise you. When Courtney first burst onto the scene, she was immediately swept up into the massive machinery of Simon Cowell's sicko music. For years, fans wondered why a debut album never materialized despite her massive digital footprint. We can now report that the silence was actually a period of intense legal and creative friction. Following the eventual dissolution of Sicko, Hadwin found herself at a crossroads, sign with another conglomerate that would likely force her into a bubblegum pop mold or take the grueling path of the independent artist. She chose the latter, a move that many industry insiders at the time labeled as career suicide. This era of her life was marked by what some have called a management merry-go-round, as she navigated the murky waters of talent agencies and promoters who struggled to market a rock-and-soul purist in a world obsessed with TikTok-friendly synthpop. Recent whispers from her inner circle suggest that these years were defined by significant unspoken challenges and legal hurdles that kept her away from the microphone. However, this period of forced exile allowed her to develop a thick skin and a sharp business mind. By 2026, the shocking reality is that Courtney Hadwin owns her masters, her image, and her future. This independence has allowed her to bypass the gatekeepers who once tried to dictate her every move, leading to the raw, unpolished, and authentic release of her latest work, which finally reflects the artist she wanted to be all along. Can a single body of work truly bridge the gap between a childhood memory and a future legend? Or is the new sound too radical for the masses? The release of her project Little Miss Jagged in late 2025 served as the definitive reset button for her career. Our analysis of the record shows a startling departure from the covers that made her famous. This wasn't a tribute to the 60s. It was an indictment of the modern world. The lyrics delved into themes of being discarded and misunderstood, phrases that many speculate refer to her time spent in the reality TV grinder. Most shocking to listeners was the track Monsters, where Hadwin openly addresses the psychological toll of fame. She uses metaphors to describe her internal struggles, avoiding direct language but painting a vivid picture of a young woman who nearly lost herself to the pressure. The production is intentionally gritty, recorded in a way that highlights the imperfections in her voice, a direct middle finger to the auto-tune perfection of her contemporaries. This project wasn't just about music, it was a manifesto, Reports from the Metropolis Studios sessions indicate that Courtney insisted on live takes, refusing to allow engineers to clean up the raw emotion of her performance. This commitment to authenticity is what has driven her 2026 resurgence. She isn't just singing songs, she's exorcising the expectations that have haunted her since she was 13. The public reaction has been polarized, but for Courtney, the controversy is the point. She would rather be polarizing and real than universally liked and fake. In an era where studio magic can make anyone a star, Courtney Hadwin is betting everything on a raw, unfiltered talent that many thought was extinct. As we look toward the remainder of 2026, the conversation surrounding Hadwin has moved beyond her golden buzzer origins and into the realm of vocal legacy. Critics who once dismissed her as a shouting child are now forced to reckon with a performer who possesses a range and depth that rivals the greats. Her voice has developed a stratospheric quality, capable of a low, rumbling hum that can suddenly skyrocket into a glass-shattering belt. But the real shock isn't the power, it's the restraint. She has learned the art of the slow burn, drawing the listener in with a whisper before unleashing the full force of her lungs. This technical evolution is what makes her 2026 performances so revealing. It shows a student of the craft who has spent her missing years obsessively refining her technique. There are even rumors of a secret project involving orchestral arrangements, which would further showcase her ability to adapt her rock-heavy voice to a more timeless setting. Whether she is the next Janis Joplin or, as she prefers, the first Courtney Hadwin, the consensus among music journalists is clear. She is no longer a guest in the house of rock and roll. She is one of its most formidable residents. The question is no longer what happened to her, but rather, how far can she go? As she continues to challenge the boundaries of her own talent, one thing is certain. The world is finally listening to her voice, not just the hype. This is a story of a girl who refused to fade away, proving that true talent is impossible to silence.